welcome to the Local Beer Show with your hosts Ben Stone and friends, broadcasting from a secret location from the West Mesa. All right, how's everyone doing? I am Ben Stone, and welcome to the pilot episode of the Local Beer Show, broadcasting from the secret location in the West Mesa. It's middle of September, and it's kind of one of my favorite times of the season. A good time in the city. We have lots of stuff going on, so always a good time. So a little bit about the show. So we're going to be talking about brewing, obviously home brews. We'll be discussing recipes, have some guests in, talk about the recipes, maybe have some guests from other craft breweries around town, or maybe some local home brewers. Keep it at that level, talking about my recipes, and maybe just trying different of the commercial examples out there. Part B of the show is going to be kind of like a quote-unquote unsolved mystery type of segment, where we'll be enjoying a pint of beer and talking about some, really mysterious things. First few episodes are going to focus around New Mexico, kind of featuring New Mexico and all the kind of mysteries that have been going on in our state, and there should be lots of fun. So right now I'm going to be actually brewing I'm kind of going to do it in the vein of Weissenbach. I had bought some dark malt from local brew shop, Summon's dark malt, and didn't know what to do with it, so I figured, maybe I'll get do an extract brew and buy 4 pounds of Bavarian wheat. I haven't selected my hops yet, but I'm going to use the Saft Brew W06 dry wheat beer yeast from Fermentis, and who knows, maybe that'll make a Weissenbach to style. Who knows, but it should be a fun brew to do. Also, when I was there, I happened to see a new hops that are coming out, the cryo hops. These are actually pretty crazy. The one I bought an ounce of Simcoe, and basically the alpha acid on that is 23.8%, and that should be fun to do a brew with that here in the near future. So we'll do a show and do a brew on that, and we'll also do a taste testing obviously at some point. Get that out of the way. All right, so like I said, we're also going to be discussing mysteries. New Mexico mysteries, and I compiled a list. So right now it's just kind of just a description, but each one of these is going to be a show of its own. So we'll start down the list here, just in no particular order, and we'll get that figured out afterwards. But first on the list here that I wrote down is the Roswell Ufo. That's a pretty famous one. We'll connect that with Area 51. That's Nevada, but they have a connection. So a little background on Roswell. Obviously, July 2nd, 1947, a UFO crashed in the ranch of Mac Brazel. He essentially formed friends and kind of some townspeople who in turn, informed the local Air Force down there, and investigated by the famous Major Jesse Marcel. And the story goes, went front page in the paper, UFO crashed in New Mexico. Days later, it was redacted to downed weather balloon. And the connection with that is supposedly deeper into the story. Aliens were discovered and found, and supposedly shipped off to Area 51. Getting into a little bit about Area 51, obviously a secret base in, guess what would you say, like central southern Nevada, Groom Lake. It's known by Dreamland, other things, and supposedly gets its Area 51 from the Atomic Energy Commission that compiled a numeral grid system on a map with, who knows, we'll find out. 1955, the CIA developed the Lockheed Martin U-2 and spy plane, and that's what they're testing out there, so we'll take a look at that. Getting deeper into that, number 2 on the list is the Dulce, and that's the underground base and the aliens. That's a whole show altogether, because there's a lot of things that it's kind of known, not as popular as Roswell, but it's still one of those that's gaining momentum, as they say. And we'll talk to a guest here in the show and go a little bit about, the background of that. And there's another guy that famously spoke out against the Dulce, the underground bases the military was doing. A guy named Phil Schneider, who died under mysterious circumstances. We'll get into that too at a later show. Third on the list I have is La Llorona. La Llorona, obviously, that's another famous one here in the metro area, as well as throughout the whole Southwest. And I've heard different stories, but I've noticed now that I've kind of dug into it, and a year back saw kind of a play about the La Llorona. I guess kind of is identified with the Spanish folk legend of, let me see if I pronounce this correct, La Malinche, a Native American woman, from Mexico, who served as Cortez's interpreter, and there's a whole story with her that's kind of a legendary, some stuff that's true about it, and some that could just be, just part of a tall tale. But at any rate, that they think that the modern La Llorona is sort of based on her, and we'll get into that too. Have some fun with that. So I got number 4 on the list here, kind of moving away. Like I said, it's no particular order, but I have one here that was brought to my attention, and I just found out about this one recently. But kind of an older murder mystery, and this was Caitlyn Arquette, and resident of Albuquerque, and a graduate of Highland High School. And I think this happened, I want to say, in the late 80s. Basically, what happened was she was driving home one night from a friend's house, driving down east on Lomas, and at some point they think that a car must have been following her, obviously, and pulled up alongside her and basically shot twice, killed her. What's mysterious about that is that there could have been some other things. She could have been a whistleblower for a scam that was kind of going on that her boyfriend was involved with. When I was looking into it, they call it like the Vietnamese car insurance scam, something out of Southern California, and I think her mom wrote a book and just did all kinds of theories of what could have happened. So that should be a little spooky to get into. The other one too, also that happened in the late 80s, was Tara Calico. She was from Belen, New Mexico. This one was missing, though. Not a murder mystery, but it just simply a missing person, and still has not been solved to this day. They don't know what happened to her. She was last seen early in the morning, told her mom she's going to go for a bike ride if she had a normal route, and said she had plans to meet with her boyfriend, play tennis later early that afternoon. And basically she never showed up. Her mom went looking for her, called authorities. Never been found to this day. The only thing they've ever found was the mom found a her Walkman and a cassette tape kind of near the area where she was biking, and that's it. And there's a famous, I should say infamous photo that was found like a year or two later, showing a young woman and a young boy kind of bound and taped up. That was found in a parking lot that they hypothesized could have been Terra, but there's it's not they haven't proven it 100%. There's parents and a lot of people that say that is her, and there's experts, obviously quote unquote the experts, and analysts that say, well, they can't prove 100% that it could have been her. So that's another one there. Going down on the list, back to ghosts. I thought it'd be fun to do the St. James Hotel. That's an old one that I remember from my youth. Basically, that's a hotel up in Cimarron, New Mexico, built in 1872. It was originally called the Lambert's Inn. Had a saloon, restaurant, and 43 rooms. And that'd be just kind of a fun show discussion, just talking about all the happenings and the tales that have come out of that hotel. That should be a good scary night, full of ghost stories there. All right, then lastly on the list here is the big one, and that's the West Mesa murders, also to become known as the Boneyard. Basically, that was discovered on the West Mesa part of Albuquerque back in 2009 by a hiker and her dog. Found a bone, and they analyzed it and showed that it was a modern human bone and female, and come to find out that there was 11 women that were buried there, and along with the fetus. And just kind of give a quick list of the victims there. Jamie Barella, Monica Candelaria, Victoria Chavez, Virginia Cloven, Solania Edwards, Cinnamon Elks, Doreen Marquez, Julie Nieto, Veronica Romero, Evelyn Salazar, and Michelle Valdez were all discovered out there in the West Mesa, 2009. To this day, still unsolved. That's I've heard one of the biggest crime scenes in American history, and serial killer could still be out there. Who knows? There's been a lot of suspects. Some famous ones, Lorenzo Montoya, Joseph Blea, to name a few. Kind of the average person have rumors out there that it could have been a rogue APD cop, city employee. Who knows? But that'll probably be a two-part podcast, just because that's gonna be a lot of information to dig through, and should be fun. So hopefully everyone will stay tuned to our next episodes of the Local Beer Show. Until then, have a good night. Drink good beer. Be safe out there. Hopefully no one drives. And if you need to get somewhere, always call a friend, Uber, taxi, whatever it is you need to do. But that's it for today's pilot show, and hope everyone has a good night. And we'll see you next time around.